How are you?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me? Because I'm on Skype through my computer.
Okay. It's a little broken up, but I think it's most important that you can hear me. So
Okay. Let me close a bunch of stuff because I've got a bunch of stuff running, and I also wanted to let you know that I'm recording this, just so you know,
okay.
and
Okay.
I'll turn it off at the end, if we want to talk about other things. But I'd like to have this on tape.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway.
Well, you know what I would just want to say though to start, Sierra. I know that God knows, of course, there's lots of stuff that's been going on that we've been involved in recently, but unless you really want to, it doesn't feel like the right time to bring any of that up now. I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah.
This feels like yours and Romeo's time.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. This is.
But anything you need or want to talk about, you just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. So, and by the way, I just barely looked through email a little while ago and saw that beautiful image somebody made for you.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. My God. So,
I mean, he took the pictures that I posted today on Facebook and took the time to, get Romeo, isolated from. I mean, I know that took a lot of time. I know he was in Photoshop, and it was just such a beautiful and sweet gift.
It's very, very, very beautiful. So, well, let me ask you this here before we get Romeo here. Is there any part of just the story of what happened that you want to talk about or just describe, or are you just ready to talk to Romeo?
Yeah, well, I didn't feel good about leaving in the first place. A friend recommended a friend to come and stay, and I didn't know him, and he's a really nice guy, and I know his intentions are good, and I was really pissed off and wanting to blame, just because I was so angry. But there was already things that I wasn't happy about. Like, he just, when I told him that these are my kids and, treat them like you would want me to treat your kids if I was watching them. And, really nice guy, but I could tell he was just kind of distracted. He's new in the jungle. He's never been there. And I understand all that. Like the day I left, he wanted to go into town with me. And I said, I don't really think that's the best thing for the cats, that I'm leaving and like all the doors are going to be shut and the guys are working and there's not anyone with him. And he just kind of ignored it. And, and so I could tell like he didn't really get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I got into San Jose and we Skyped that night, I realized that he didn't know their names right or even what sex they were.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So it started building up, my concern. And, I asked him to please keep them in at night because, Chico's been through this, every few months with me leaving and he's used to it. But Romeo had never had me leave before.
Okay.
So my biggest concern was for Romeo and how he would react. And I know that Romeo never really related well to men. And he was just extremely attached to me. Like, even when I left, he started to follow me down the stairs. And I said, you wait here, it's not going to be that long, and he just watched me walk away. And, and so, 2 nights ago at 8 o'clock at night, the guy Skypes me. I just realized that I haven't seen Romeo all day. Should I be concerned? And I was like, what? When is the last time you saw him? And he typed, last night. I left the door open so that he could get out. He's been waking me up at 5 in the morning. So I started getting pissed off. Because I'm like, what do you mean you left the door open because he woke you up at 5 in the morning? You're supposed to be, what?
Yeah,
what?
you're there to take care of him. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh God.
And and not even, now it's almost 24 hours that he is getting concerned that he hasn't seen Romeo. So I definitely got some anger built up and stuff about that. And I know it's all divine and it's nobody's fault. And we'll talk to Romeo about this because, if you remember, TJ got killed by a snake when I was away.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And night before I was coming home. If you remember, I was gone in the States. I was in San Jose, Costa Rica the night it happened. And Cuba, the dog, got killed by a snake. And he went to the neighbor's kitchen to die?
Yeah.
You know, so there's something going on with snakes and my animals not wanting me to see it and be there. You know, there's something going on. So that's pretty much all the story I need to tell you before we actually go in.
Okay. And as we're talking to Romeo, if any more of that comes up and you just need to talk about it, we will. So just, you know, let me know what you need as we go along. So.
And I want to thank you because I know you're busy and you took time out of your schedule and you don't usually do same day. And
Sierra, it's the least I can do. I'm sorry I couldn't even do it right away when you emailed me. I just had a crazy early part of the day.
No, it's been perfect because I'm in a much better place. If I had talked to you this morning, I would have been sobbing the whole time. And I'm doing much better. So it was perfect. It's perfect.
Okay, all right. Oh, and one thing, too, I wanted to email you this, and I didn't even forget. I don't want any money for this, okay? So don't even think about paying me, okay? No, that's just not going to be part of this. So, okay, well, one last question I have for you before I get in here is, what do you call yourself with Romeo? Do you refer to yourself as Mom or Mommy or Sierra or something else? Or
I would probably say Mom or... I mean, I never said I'm your mommy to him, you know, but I definitely consider myself his mom, and I think he would call me Mommy.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, let me get this wonderful soul here, and this will take me a minute or two, so just relax, and I'll be right back with you. He's been waiting to talk to you, and the very first thing he wants you to know is that he thinks it's his responsibility. He said, nobody came after me. He said it was a snake, but it was my fault because, well, I got too close, and I kind of wanted to play, and that didn't work. I just was not mindful or careful enough. And he says, I'll also say, I think I wasn't because I really did miss you. I really did miss you. I know you have to go away sometimes, but I missed you and I wasn't quite myself and I got really stupid. I know better. You know I know my way around. And I just want you to know that so you aren't mad at the snake.
Yeah.
She didn't come to me to hurt me. I got too close and kind of frisky. So please don't be mad at the snake. It wasn't her fault. What she did was just what I would do. If somebody came up to me too close and touched me when I didn't want to be, I might bat at them or bite. Please don't blame it on her. Don't blame it on her.
Cuba said something very similar.
Pardon me?
Cuba said something very similar.
Oh, okay. She says there are also other things that are all true at the same time. It's true that I really missed you this time. Really missed you. As soon as you left, a lot. And it's also true that made me less mindful and less careful. And it's also true that this is not your fault. And she's showing this whole energy picture. It's very beautiful, Sierra, of like you're needing to leave sometimes. She never liked it, even if you were gone hours.
Yeah,
but,
he would wait for me. He would wait. He hated when I left. He'd follow me down to the beach and meow and meow and meow.
Oh, yeah. So she shows she never liked you being gone, but she says, I realize from here more than I did from there how normal and natural it is for you to sometimes just need to be away. So I mean it when I say don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. I'm not even blaming myself. And I'm really the one who was not mindful and who was careless. Oh, and she says, don't blame the man who was here either.
Yeah, I know. I knew he would say that.
Yeah. I feel silly saying, I keep calling Romeo she because there's such sweet energy. Is Romeo male?
Romeo was male, but Romeo had, do you remember Kisa?
Oh, yeah.
Romeo had, the essence of several of my cats, and I understand why he's coming across as female to you.
Okay.
Because that's why his name was Romeo. He had such the sweet side.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. I just didn't want to offend you or sound stupid if I was calling him a girl.
I knew you were saying that because you were feeling an energy, so it's okay.
Okay, all right. Well, what he's saying is that this man who was there, just wasn't into him very much.
Yeah,
and it's really funny. He knows the whole thing. He's watched you since his death and since you found out. And he totally understands why you were angry. And he said, if I were in your role, I would have been angry at him because it is true. He didn't really pay close attention to us.
I know that, yeah.
However, I didn't really want to be around him either.
I knew that. I felt that.
Yeah. And so, what he's showing is, he looked for an opportunity to go out.
Yeah.
He looked for that. So he's not saying don't be mad at this person just because he can't deal with you being mad. That's not it at all.
Right.
He just really feels like he kind of shows this man as really nice, well-meaning, and just not like real grounded,
right. Totally.
But this wasn't one of those. Now this is me talking. This is an analogy, just to make it super clear what he's showing about the energy. This isn't one of those black and white cases where the dog sitter knew to shut the gate of the fence and just didn't bother shutting it. It's not that black and white at all.
Right.
There definitely seems to be some level of. This is a strong word, and it's mine, not Romeo's, but certainly some level of negligence.
Yeah.
But as far as Romeo's concerned, there's not a direct.
He didn't do it on purpose. He feels bad.
That's what is being shown. Yeah.
He's a nice man.
It was not on purpose. Yeah.
He's a nice man. He feels really bad. It wasn't his intention, and he's spaced out.
Yeah. Now, Romeo says, where I am, thank goodness, I feel no guilt.
Yeah.
And I feel no grief. But I know that where you are, you feel grief.
Yeah.
And I am aware that I was not mindful. and I was not careful. And I really need to know what I can do to help you. I want to help you through this. And I need to know how I can do that, what you would like from me, what you need from me.
To come back fast. And,
okay.
And he's also, like, I've gone through all the emotions today, and I don't know if you remember, a good friend of mine died not even a month ago. And, she kept sending, like, butterflies right in my face and hummingbirds. And, like, all these amazing things. Like, every time I'd start feeling sad, like, something would show up that I could get to the vibration where I could feel her, and then I would. And I realized this today as I've gone through it all, that when I'm crying and hysterical and upset, I do not feel him at all. And as soon as I get calm and centered and he's at a place where he can't come to me when I'm in depression, and and he, so he's already showing me, as Sarah did, that when people go, I mean, it's okay to. Oh, my mom's phone's ringing. I'm gonna hide it. Hold on a second.
It's okay.
When people cross over, they do not want us to be in despair and depression because they cannot reach us there. So the more calm I've gotten and centered, I started to feel him, like, nuzzling my neck like he loved to do. Like, he would just, like, crawl up into my hair,
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
So he's already, as far as the gifts, what he could give to me, keep doing that.
Okay.
Because it helps me, it gives me a reason to stay calm and centered because I can feel him. And and please come back. I mean, I enjoyed that cat so much. He was like such a light in my life, and it's gonna suck to go home and have him not be there,
Okay. All right. Let me tell both these things and see what he says. Okay. Oh, he's such a lovely, sweet soul. He wanted to talk about helping you stay centered and calm first, and he said he knows what you mean. He heard everything you said to me, and he understands that. And he said, well, I'm also helping you when you're crying and depressed.
Yeah.
And he said, just because you don't feel me when you're in that state doesn't mean I'm not there. And it doesn't mean anything's wrong. And then he showed me this picture. It's so interesting learning every animal's different sort of ways to explain what they see in these situations. He showed me your whole energy system, like energy bodies upon energy bodies going out, like various like levels around you that go out farther than the size of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, when you're sad, when you're crying, what he showed was like this dark reddish sort of energy all churning up, and it was real, not made up, not crazy. He said it was real. And he watched that, and what he saw was that it needed to be expelled.
Yeah.
It needed to be like expressed and come out. And it was so funny. He actually made this little comparison. He said, like when I was there and I had a poop. And he was real serious when he said that. But to him, it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
When you're in a body, you have to poop. But when you're in a body and you're sad, it doesn't come out in like a physical way. But then he showed that when you would cry, you'd feel sadness and then work on letting it go. He showed this red would like just leave you, like slowly and gently, even if it was really churning and like a stormy inside you, then it would leave and you'd feel calm. And then he showed it like dissipating through all these layers of your energy, like what, in metaphysical terms we might call being transmuted.
Yeah.
But the main thing he was showing was the naturalness of it from his perception.
Yeah.
And the main thing he really wanted you to know was he's there then for sure. Yeah. All you have to do, like if it's ever since it's happened, any strong feeling that came up, he was there in an instant. It was like an alarm bell to him.
Yeah.
So he wants you to know that he knows it doesn't feel good, but he wants you to be really clear. He's there when you feel like that, too.
Yeah.
And he said, and also, I hope it'll be less and less that this happens for you, these big red feelings. But sometimes it had to happen so you could get to being calm.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so if that's what you want, then I'm going to help you even more, as much as I can. So when those big red feelings come, I'll help you expel them as easily as can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I promise. I promise. He said, I have to tell you, too, that I'm very blessed to have a strong and a wise teacher with me throughout this. Because if I didn't, and I was just with myself, alone, seeing your pain would have made me feel so guilty I wouldn't have known what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I kept being told by her over and over that my feeling guilty, just to feel guilty, wouldn't help you. And he says, that takes me into talking about coming back.
Uh-huh.
I want to come back and be with you again as a pussycat very much. He said, but I have to learn how to be more careful. I have to learn how to be more safe. I thought I was pretty smart. And I think you might agree with me. I was pretty good.
Yeah. he came from the jungle, from nowhere. I don't know where he came from.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I said he came from the jungle. I don't remember. He just came out of the blue one night.
Yeah. Well, he said I did feel I had some skills and caution built into me, but there were still times I'd forget I was not wild. I was little, and I was yours and tame. I would just not be mindful enough. And I don't want to repeat this. I don't want to repeat what I let happen. I don't want to repeat being off and scared, waiting to come home. I want to be with you, but I have to learn to be even more careful, because that's what allows me to not feel guilty, is knowing I'm going to put into action what I meant to learn. I don't quite know how it will come together, but I know I will learn this. And he says, as much as my teacher here is smart, I love you and respect everything you know. So if you can tell me any ways you think I can be more careful, I want to know.
Is his guide another orange cat?
Pardon me?
Is his guide another orange cat?
Let me see. He's not showing me the guide. Let me see.
Because, there's something very special about the golden orange cats.
He loves your question. He says, well, not anymore. And then he did give me a glimpse of how he sees this teacher, and she's very, I'm just saying there's really no gender attached. This being is just very ethereal and beautiful and light, and there's no form at all.
Yeah.
Whereas Romeo's showing himself as he looked with you.
Yeah. That's funny.
But he's funny. So I think he means, yeah, could have been, but not right now.
Right, okay.
But he was serious. Like, he really would like to know, I think, if there's anything you noticed regarding his behavior or his habits or whatever that he might change to make him more careful.
Yeah. I don't know quite what to say to that. He was a young, playful kitten, and that's what I loved about him. Mm-hmm. I would say, when he's inside and playing with me, he can get really crazy and let it all out. But when he's out in the jungle, he really needs to be mindful of the animals there. I know that he was afraid of the monkeys. He was, he was pretty careful.
Okay. Okay, well, he really, really appreciates your compliments and your observations about that. It really does mean a lot to him, because even though I would concur with his words when I see and feel his energy along with his words. He doesn't feel guilty, but he is very sincere and serious about not wanting to repeat this.
Yeah.
And there's no fear or anything involved. He just doesn't want to repeat it. So he says, thank you for what you've said. Thank you. But he still wants to do some more work with his teacher just to feel he's a little stronger. He says, one thing I've considered, and I don't know whether it can work. You're going to love this. He says, I'm wondering if I can be some kind of wildcat but then live with you. And that way when I'm outside, I'll be wild, and when I'm with you, I won't. And he's serious, so I don't know whether that's any kind of possibility, but what he's showing is he wants the acumen and the skill of a wild animal when he's outside, but he wants to be your little pussycat inside.
Well, that's pretty much how it already was. You know?
Ah, okay.
I mean, he was a nut outside, you know. He was all over the place. I mean, he was a high energy dude.
Okay, all right. Let me explain. Tell me, you already saw that. Okay. Oh, he's very complimented by this. I mean, he's smart, but, you know, like most beings, he appreciates compliments too, and your perceptions and opinions really matter to him.
Yeah.
And then he showed me something else. He said, well, one thing his teachers already talked about a little is that, you know, if he returns, which he really would like to do, that perhaps when he's outside, he could do a little bit of shape-shifting so the other animals see him as a larger, wild kind of cat.
Hey, now that's getting fun and creative. I like that.
Okay. He said, okay, I'm going to really learn more about this. I just know about it, but I want to have it mastered before I come back. I want to be safe. I don't want to have to leave you quickly. I don't want to break your heart. I want continuity. I'd like to be with you for a long time. A long time. And he says, I did like the way I looked. I wouldn't mind looking like that again when I'm with you, like what you and I would call an orange cat.
Yeah.
He really likes that look, but he said, like he's literally been looking at possibilities, not so much actual bodies, but the way cat bodies look.
Yeah.
And when he was looking at cats that we would call orange, he saw some that were fluffy. And he's really clear he does not want to be fluffy. Like, yeah. He thinks that's really, like, way, way, way over the top. He does not want to be fluffy.
That is so funny.
Like, he thinks it's pretty, but he is very strong. He doesn't, whether his body would be male or female, he's just not into, like, if he were a female woman, he would not wear skirts. Like, he'd wear pants and, you know, guy tops, you know. He does not want to be fluffy.
Well, it's funny you say that, because yesterday, before I knew that he had passed on, I felt him come in really strongly, and I already knew he was missing, but I didn't know he was gone. And my parents have the cat Kira that used to be mine. I got her when I lived in San Diego, and then when I moved back to Costa Rica, Kira's now my parents' cat, but she's still my cat. And yesterday, It was better than PetSmart. I got this big bag of toys that Kira doesn't play with anymore. But I put a couple on the ground, and like she really started playing like Romeo would, and she did a couple other things, and I felt like Romeo missed me so much that he came into her and visited yesterday.
Oh.
And today Kira has not wanted to go out all day, and she's been sleeping all day, and I feel like she is helping me process this too, and Romeo's even coming through her in a way.
Okay. Okay, let me see. Well, this is really interesting. He says, well, here's how it worked. He said, I really, really wanted to visit, and I wanted it to be comforting to you and make you happy, and I didn't literally enter her body. That would have been rude. I didn't literally do that, but I asked her if I could be so close by that my energy would come through in how she behaved, and that's what happened.
Oh, yeah. Because he wouldn't want to enter her very fluffy body anyway.
It's cool, the picture and sometimes I have heard of them agreeing that somebody can enter the body,
right.
But he's really clear. He didn't enter, but he was so close by that they were like in sync and like dolphins leaping or something. But it's like then her body did the things that his energy was wanting to show you. And he says she enjoyed it, by the way.
Yeah. She's tired today, boy. She slept all day long.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, did you enjoy that as much as I think you did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he's welcome to do that again.
Okay.
If Kira agrees.
Okay, he says, okay. He says, I know this is silly because I know the higher perspective with which you look at everything, but thank you for not being mad at me for not being careful.
Oh, no, I would never be mad. Never. I'm sad, but not at him.
Okay. Thank you, he says. I have to say that it wasn't hard to die, of course. It was very easy, and it happened within a few minutes.
Good.
I actually left my body before my body was done, meaning dead, physically dead.
Right.
So dying was really easy. But when I saw your response and hearing, it was really a big challenge not to feel so responsible, not to feel guilty and badly that I caused it. I'm so sorry. about all the pain you've had to feel. I really am sorry.
I know that.
Oh, and he's showing something totally different now. He just changed gears, and he's talking about the young man who was at your house. And he said, by the way, because of how we all were part of this together, I've been shown a little bit about him. And it's really interesting. She's showing there's some very clear boundaries. It's not like she's privy to everything about him or everything in his life, but she was shown something, she says, to help her. And that is that he's learned from this already.
Yeah. Oh, I know that.
He's really learned. Yeah, and it may not benefit you personally, Sierra, meaning you,
right.
But whatever next things are in his life, I think there's going to be more groundedness and a sense of responsibility.
Yeah, this perfectly segues into the really last question I have, and you know that everything happens multi-level for everybody concerned. There's a higher reason, and it's become very clear to me that he had some big work to do. And you don't get sent to my property, that extremely powerful sacred property, if you don't have some work to do. Because everyone that goes there, things happen, big things happen, and he's already was telling me how much he missed his family, and he's not handling the alone very well. So I know there's a lot of levels to this, and I'm really getting a picture of his lessons. But I'd like to hear some of the bigger picture where I'm concerned.
Interesting. Wow.
Because it's, like I mentioned at the beginning, the TJ and Cuba and Romeo, and I know they're totally different situations and totally different reasons, but there's this. I think the snake common thing is mostly because I'm in the rainforest and it's an easy way to go, and I know there's higher reasons for everything, and I'd like to know, I guess part of Romeo's is to learn to be more careful, but there's got to be more to it than that, and I know there's more to it than that than for me. So I mean, really, Romeo or his guide or the dolphins and whales, I'm inviting anyone to come in and kind of give us maybe a little bit of a higher perspective.
Okay.
Calling all spirits.
Well, Romeo's part of this message, but it's mostly coming from your own guides, which of course includes a whole cadre of animals. And they literally are showing an aerial view of, everybody involved in this and what it involved, what it means. And the first thing they want to say to you is that you are very much as Romeo described himself and wanting to be next time too, of wild in some ways and unwild in others. And they say, we don't mean wild like you speak of wild in your English language. We mean connected to the earth. The way you are with all the animals and all the plants in the jungle. The way you are with all the dolphins and whales in the sea. That is who you are. You are part animal. In that way, you are part wild, meaning you're part not human. You're here this time in a very precious, special human body, a very precious and extraordinary human personality and set of abilities and circumstances that you set up a long time ago to be living out now, and many more to come. And yet, almost like Romeo spoke of maybe learning to shapeshift, there are ways you do that too.
Yeah, and I do it with food. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. They're showing you just do it.
Yeah.
You just do it. And they say the difference with you and Romeo is that he doesn't have the same quantity of experience that you do doing these things. So he's still learning, but you're a good model for him. You're a really good model of how to do that. Of course, you do it in very different ways because you have different bodies and purposes. But it's the same thing. Because here you are on the earth in this human body, still being so much animal. And you're the happiest when you're with them, especially in the water. Even on top of the water, looking at them. And yet, you're still human and have chosen to do things to show other humans who the animals are. And sometimes that's a joy and glorious, and sometimes it's a downright pain in the ass. And you'd rather forget that part and just go back out and be with the animals in the sea. And so it's like little Romeo, who loved being your cat and loved being wild outside. But the, quote, pain in the ass part of life for him was knowing he couldn't have you all the time. Your human work takes you away sometimes. And he is learning about this to adjust to this better. Just as you have challenges placed in front of you, and you are learning more and more and more how to handle those obstacles that aren't the fun part of what you came here to do. And so the two of you are very closely aligned, and he'll be learning from you more and more. What happened to little Romeo in the biggest picture of his soul's life? This was just a tiny little moment. The whole life was a tiny little moment, a significant one, but a tiny moment in his soul's life. How he died and what he describes as his not being mindful was something his soul yearned to learn.
Mhm. I heard that. Yeah.
And all his other prior life experiences don't really matter for the moment, but there were many such moments in the past for him that were about that very issue of being cautious and mindful, even at times when stressed. And he was stressed with you gone. He was sad.
Yeah, I know that.
And that may seem like a small lesson. And when the stress is little, it's a small lesson. When the stress is big, it's a bigger lesson. And just suffice it to say, he's gone through many worse scenarios regarding this issue, even though the manner of his death, of course, seems very dramatic and traumatic.
Right.
And for a few minutes it was.
Yeah.
Compared to other things, this was small. And so he is nearing the tail end, if you will, of this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And we encourage you to support him while he tells you he's still learning this.
Yeah.
This is for his soul to decide with the guidance he has all around him, of course, but we hope for both of you that he does not return prematurely. I don't think he needs a lot of time to do his next layers of learning where he is, but if he came tomorrow, he wouldn't be ready.
Mm-hmm.
And he might repeat this or something similar to it.
Right.
But he's really ready to learn. And you two are perfect together.
Yeah.
You are just, that when they show your energies, it just aligns so perfectly. It just aligns.
Yeah.
Your guides also want you to know something about your love for Romeo and all your animals who've come to live with you, and that is that no matter how many animals you love, at any given time, any given day, Romeo always knew he got your full heart. He didn't really feel he had to share you with whales or dolphins or dogs or monkeys or anybody else. He just knew there was more than enough for him, as much as there was enough dinner food for everybody. There was more than enough love. Because the love you feel for them is so expansive. It's without limit. You know how to love without limit. And so those who come in your path, who get to share your love and feel it and have it given to them, know that when you love them, it's real and it's full and it's endless. It's endless. You don't store it up and think, well, I have this, and this being in my life, and that's all I have to give.
Mm-hmm.
With time, you may have to plan that in your earthly time limitations, but not with your love. And Romeo knew that, and we want you to know that Romeo knew that. They're just sort of beaming down at you, Sarah. It's for something that's such a recent trauma physically on the earth. Everything feels so sparkling and healed and just right.
Yeah, I mean, I went through it really quickly today. I was a hysterical mess in the morning, and and like I had to go to the freaking dentist and get a deep cleaning.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
and I was like, okay, let's just get it all over with in one day, And I put on, I have some music by Source Vibration. It's encoded, embedded, theta, all that stuff, music. When I sat down, the tears were rolling, and they asked if I was okay, and of course I started to cry. And so I told them, and they were so sweet about it. And do you want to do this today? And I was like, yes, I'm here. Just do it, And something on the dentist chair shifted. I don't know if it was the music, but I just was like, I started to feel Romeo, And so, because I had to put my mind in another place, because of the what they were doing to my mouth. So I had,
of course,
I had to take myself away, and in doing that, that's when the connection started again.
Wow.
So it was it was a blessing in everything, even there being a freaking dentist appointment today.
Oh my God.
And
wow.
There's just one more thing before, and I just want to make sure. Is that noise when I talk?
It's what?
I was hearing some kind of backlash. Anyway, there's one last thing, and I want to make sure that Romeo is taking care of Tico. You've talked to Tico many times. That's still there with this person.
Okay.
And just make sure he checks in and that Tico's okay. I mean, I've been connecting with him, but I want to make sure Romeo.
Okay. All right. Oh, he says I'm watching over everybody. He really does feel responsible to take care of each of you who are upset. He feels very responsible to do that. And not overly so. It doesn't feel like some, codependent thing. It just feels natural and right and very balanced. He's definitely watching over Tico, and he says, and everybody else, and he said, if there's any time you feel worried or particularly concerned, just let him know. Just let him know. Like if you want some comfort to go to somebody, or affection or protection or anything, just ask him. He says, I know you know this, but I want to remind you that I can do that. I can be there for you, help you, the others, and also work on myself all at one time. It's a lot easier to do that here than on Earth.
Yeah.
So don't think you ever ask too much or would overload me. It's easy. It's easy here. And he's very serious when he says that. Like, he really meant that. Really meant that. he's good. He's good with that.
Okay. Well, I hear your kitty saying that the session is over now.
Yeah.
And
say.
I'm really good, and I'm better than good, and I can't thank you enough, Teresa, for this. And
okay, let me tell him that. I think he has something else to say too.
Okay.
He says, you know I love you. You know how much I love you, but I want to say it anyway. And I also want to say that even though I most probably will come back, and we will have more to experience together, I need to thank you for this time. Because it's not common on the earth to both be loved so much, but also be so accepted for who you really are. You didn't just love me. You cared enough to see who I really am and what I'm about, and you accepted that. If everybody on the earth accepted one another in that way, it would be much nicer. There would be so much more harmony and peace. But too many people, when they love the animals, are only concerned about what makes them feel right or good. But you always respected me for who I was, separate from you, even though we love each other so much. That knowing that we were connected as one in light, but still separate as physical beings with our own different purposes, our own different needs and desires for our physical lives. You always respected me. I'll never be able to thank you enough for that. You knew who I really was, not who you wanted me to be. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Thank you. He's so cute. He says, now I'm going to go figure out this shape-shifting thing. Yeah, he really wants to do that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Sierra, I hope this helps.
A billion times.
Well,
Yeah. It's hard, but I really feel like as every minute that goes by, I'm better and better. You know?
Good.
I know that.
Well, if you need something else here, like if something comes up that it settles in, and if you like have a question, think, gosh, well, I forgot to ask him this, or now I'd really like to know this, or if something like that pops up, send me an email, and we'll do it. Okay.
I appreciate that. I love you so much.
I love you too, Sarah. And I know how incredibly beautifully you work through these things. And if you ever do have a time where, part of the tearful part of it comes back and you do just want to talk, you can always call me to do that too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And that goes both ways.
I know.
Okay. All Right.
I know. I know from experience. I definitely know. So, and I know we'll catch up on all that later, okay?
Sure.
But just know I love you, and I'll light a candle here for Romeo, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Such a handsome dude. So, well, I love you, and I'll let you go now, but again, reach out if you need more, okay?
Okay, thank you, honey.
All right. Okay. Good night for now.
Okay, blessings to you.
Okay. Bye-bye.